Hey Pad viewers, we want to ask your opinion. So I'm going to give you the circumstances, and you'll see after I get done running my mouth, at the end of the video, you'll actually see us drop the oil pan, and it'll be better explained to you what exactly happened. But I want to tell you the lineage of events, and I want you guys to write in the comments what you believe happened to this car and how it failed. 2008 Scion TC, 108,000 miles. Very low mile car. It's got the 2.4 liter four-cylinder. This vehicle was purchased by our client from a used car lot, and they purchased it on a Saturday, I believe. And when they purchased the car, the day of, there was no discrepancy. There was an engine noise. The salesman at the dealership, maybe he was the owner, the co-owner, I don't know, but he heard it, he agreed. The purchaser heard the engine noise. So the salesman, he's like, oh, it's just a belt. Well, this is a timing chain engine, not a timing belt engine. So he had to be discussing or talking about the Serpentine belt, right? So he's like, oh, it's just a belt, bring it back and we'll put a new belt on it and I'll fix it. So he agreed that there was no harm to the car. He suggested, promoted, pushed, allowed this purchaser to leave the lot with this car with a known engine noise. Now, we weren't there, so we don't know exactly what kind of engine noise it was, but there was no discrepancy that there was an engine noise the day she paid for the car. All right, so she goes home, or she explains to the salesman, oh, it's going to be a couple weeks before I can get back to replace this belt because I'm going out of town next weekend to the mountains. It's going to be a couple weeks. Oh, that's fine, just whenever. 2 weeks later, she brings it back to that car lot for the belt to be replaced. Well, from the time she purchased the car to the time that she brought the car back to have the belt replaced was a 2-week window. I don't know the mileage, but exactly 2 weeks. Well, during that time, in that time frame, check engine light came on. Well, there's 2 fault codes stored for cam timing. All right, so she pulls into the parking lot. She notifies the admin lady, the service writer, whatever her title may be. Hey, my check engine light's on. And that person's response, who was a representative of this car lot, oh, they must have not reset the oil service reminder because every car before it leaves our facility gets an oil change. Every car. Okay. So we know it had an oil change and they didn't reset the oil service reminder. But she said, no, it's a check engine light. Oh, no. So they went back and forth. Well, she's there to get a belt replaced. So they tell her, hey, your car's ready, it's done. What did they do? They cleared the check engine light. They just go in there and they clear the check engine light. She gets back in the car, lights out. I don't know if the belt noise was gone at that point or not. I wasn't there. So she continues to drive the car for approximately 3 to 4 more weeks. Continues to drive the car, but she notices that noise is not gone. The engine noise is not gone. It continues to be present. And actually, as the days go on, it continues to get worse. It's louder. It's actually noticed by her coworkers who walk through the same parking lot that she's driving out of. So she goes to visit a family member not far from this car lot, and the noise is so bad on her way to visit her family member, actually her mother, I believe, that she shuts the car off in the driveway at her mom's house and it won't start back. Like it just click, click, click. Will not start back. So if she lets it sit overnight, comes out the next morning, boom, it starts up. It starts up and runs. She shuts it back off, checks the oil level. The oil dipstick, in her words, was completely dry, like clean, like something you just took out of a new box and shoved down in there, completely dry. So this is a 4-quart engine. It is, as per Scion specification, holds 4 quarts of engine oil. Well, she put 3 quarts in it just to get it to register on the dipstick. So she put 3 quarts in it at her mama's house. So she leaves her mama's house and she's driving home, which is a pretty extended road drive, maybe as much as an hour and a half or so. So she's driving home and she don't get far from her mother's house and it just locks up. It just shuts down. All right, so now she has it towed to our shop. So we realized that, hey, this engine is locked up. It's not a starter issue. It's not a battery alternator, that kind of thing. We pulled in the shop. I put a breaker bar on the crank pulley, on the crank bolt, won't even budge. So that's when we pull the valve cover. I pull the valve cover, which is not in the video to follow, but it was completely dry under that valve cover. Typically you would see you know, an oil film, some kind of lubricated coating on top of the camshaft, the top of the cylinder head, dry, completely dry. Okay, so I raise it up, pull the oil pan, and you'll see in the video to follow, or the portion of the video to follow, what we found in the oil pan. So I do have this little gem right here. This is a, I don't know if it's a rod bearing or a crankshaft bearing, but this is in the bottom, or this was in the bottom of the engine. So this will show you just what kind of damage was created. So the timeline is, she purchased the car with a known engine noise, drove it for approximately 2 weeks, took it back to this car lot. They put a belt on it and reset the light. Drove it for approximately 2 more weeks, maybe as many as 4 additional weeks before it actually locked up. Now that's a time frame. Mileage wise, we're looking at approximately 3,000 miles. So maybe 6 weeks at 3,000 miles was put on this car with this engine being very noisy. Is that a testament to Scion or Toyota engines? Is that a testament to technology and engine oil? And the fact that she had to add 3 quarts of oil, something I failed to mention. There was no leaks on this car. No external leaks. This car was completely bone dry on the bottom side. So the oil did not leak out. If she put 3 quarts in it to get it to register, and it did not leak out, and it was still at the same oil level when it arrived here, what happened before she put 3 quarts in it, or between the time that she picked it up from the car lot to the time that she put 3 quarts in it? Was there even oil in it at all? Did a previous technician or someone drain the oil and forgot to put it back in there, or just put a little bit in there and got sidetracked and went on to something else and forgot to come back? Like, I want you guys, post in the comments what you think happened. I know what I think happened. I know for a fact the cause of the engine damage was a lack of oil. I know for a fact, 100% lack of oil. The engine ran for too long with lack of oil, okay? What created that lack of oil? Because it didn't leak out. But there was an engine noise and a check engine light the day she picked it up from the car lot. And just to throw in there, the camshaft timing codes, the variable valve timing, for those of you that understand these, is directly related to low oil pressure. Those variable valve timing actuators operate on oil pressure, and without oil and without oil pressure, cam timing codes will be there, those variable valve timing codes will be there. So that makes perfect sense. It lines up. The engine's bone dry, it didn't leak out. The client had to add 3 quarts of oil to get it to register in a 4-quart engine. This is what happened. All right, welcome to the latest pad video. So our client had their vehicle towed in, and we want to do a video for our client, let them know what's going on with it. The vehicle was towed in after driving northbound on the interstate or highway. The story I got was the engine got noisy and just shut off, wouldn't start back. The vehicle was towed in, came to our parking lot. We go out, try to start it, all the lights work, click, 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 not getting anything. All right, so we get the vehicle pushed inside. We charge and test the battery. Battery's okay. I removed the serpentine belt. Use this big old right here. Try to turn the engine over manually, like I put the socket on the crankshaft there, and it is stuck. And the belt's off. So I removed the valve cover gasket. We'll show you that, or the valve cover on top. And I'm seeing a little bit of shiny debris, but nothing extravagant. So I wanted to drain the oil pan, actually even remove this bottom portion of the oil pan just to see what's going on down here. So I cut this water bottle because I want to take a fluid sample from the engine oil to show our client so I can set it aside. But as we drain the oil, we want to get it on video because it's got some pretty decent color to it. Decent as in not good at all, kind of decent. All right. Wow, it's very milky, but also very almost silver in color. But we're going to keep this fluid sample and let it settle. We're going to set it on the table. But you can see the fluid is very milky and almost silver. What's another color called? Hammered silver. But anyway, we're going to let this drain out and drop the pan, and we'll bring you guys back to it. All right, so we got the oil pan down, and I want to show you because we found some good stuff. Not necessarily good for the vehicle owner, but some things to see. All right, let's start in the oil pan itself. Look how metallic the oil looks. Well, you can see we got pieces of metal. There's a chunk right there. And there's also a lot of little cast chunks. I actually got my magnet there. But anyway, I can put it between my fingers. It's just cast material. That could have been from a connecting rod, a camshaft, who knows where exactly it come from, but we've got a lot of things coming apart. You can see a lot of the cast material there to your left, right over here. A lot of metal. All right, so let's look up here. This is our oil pickup screen. You can see a lot of that metal color as well. So when the engine oil is in the pan's up here, this is submerged in engine oil, so it sucks oil in through here. There's a little screen, a mesh screen, into this oil pump, and it distributes oil throughout the engine. So we're going to take our pick and look what we're pulling out. That's more of that cast material. It's metal. It's coming out of that pickup screen. I mean, it was just completely stopped up with this stuff. All right, so another little indicator that I've noticed, this little oil pump shaft or intermediate shaft, ever how Toyota refers to it, right here with the gears, they're very dry. They were very dry, and they should have been well coated or lubricated with oil. It's impossible to see with the camera, but the further the internals are up, inside the engine, they're very dry as well. Not very well coated. When I removed the engine oil filter here, typically we'd get oil, some residual that would pour out this center portion here. We didn't get any of that. I unscrewed the filter. There was nothing else came out of it. So we clearly had a oil starvation problem that created this. What came apart, something internally came apart, stopped up the screen, starved the engine of oil. So anyway, we're going to forward this video on to our client. Actually, before we do that, let's go over here and look at this oil filter. So this is the oil filter that came off of it. I haven't verified if it's the proper part number for it, but you can kind of see the metal look that's coming out of it. We may just cut that filter open and see what it looks like. And here's our fluid sample. So we're still waiting for it to settle, see what it's going to come out like. But anyway, we hope this video is helpful for our client. We hope it's helpful for you. You can bring your vehicle to us and we'll diagnose it for you. We'll put it on YouTube. Hopefully it'll help you. Thanks for watching another pad video. We'll see you on the next one.